Pages with Catherine. I'm Catherine. It's time to put together our cards with our scraps from our devotion project recipe. As usual, I have taken my scraps and kind of placed them onto my cards so that way I know how these are going to go together. It just makes life easier. And sometimes it is a little bit like doing a puzzle, trying to figure out how to do these, put these cards together. So first things first, I took a piece of our charcoal cardstock. I cut it at 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches, and I've scored it at 4 1/4. I'm going to go ahead and fold my card. I'm going to grab my multi-purpose tool to help me with that to get a nice strong crease going on my cardstock. And I'm going to center this bronze piece first over the top part of my card. Here we go. And then we had this, the piece that had the wedding cake on the opposite side of it. We're going to use the gray side again, but we're going to use the opposite side of the page for our other card. And this piece is about 3.5 by 3 1/4 is the piece of the bronze that was there. My gray piece is about 3 inches by 4 1/4. Just so you know roughly what I've cut this to, I cut it to the width of the card. So it makes sense that we would have that at 4 1/4. And then I took 2 pieces off of the end of this gray to run as little strips going up the side of our bronze piece, our bronze shimmer. And I'm working with my regular tape runner here. And I have the flowers going horizontally up our card. We're going to line this up with the top corner. Here we go. But I'm going to tuck the pieces underneath this bottom piece. It just seems a little bit neater to do it that way. There we go. And so we have this to love ever after. This is laughter and happily. So to love, laughter, and happily ever after. One of our stickers from our devotion collection. I am going to put a couple of our large foam squares onto the back of our sticker to give it some extra height and dimension, of course. And this one is going to be centered because then it's going to pull in some of the bronze shimmer, and it looks really nice with our gray. And then I also picked the wedding bells and the rings. So this one would be a nice card to give somebody at a wedding. And if you want to add foam squares on the bottom here as well, that's up to you. I'm kind of going to cover this corner just a little bit with the bells. And then I'm going to put my rings into this bottom corner coming up from here. So there we go. That's our first card with our scraps. Would make a nice little, maybe even wedding shower card. Our second card, I also have used our charcoal cardstock. I've gone ahead and cut it, again, the 8.5 by 5.5. And scored it at 4 1/4. Going ahead and getting a nice fold going on our cardstock here. And this one definitely is also a little bit more puzzle-like as well. We're going to run this other piece of bronze shimmer that we had. This one was, let's see here, 4 inches by just under 3.5. and I'm going to run it up one side of my card, but I'm going to leave a little bit of the charcoal showing on the end. And you can do this from the left side as well. It's up to you. I just kind of wanted to mix it up and do it from the right. This time we are going to use the white side of this charcoal piece. Again, this is just at 3 inches, and this one's 5.5 because we're running at the width of the card. After a little while, some of this makes sense, right? You want your pieces to fit on the card as best as possible. We also had these strips from one of our other papers. It's a 1 inch width on this, and then we're running it the full 5.5 across our card. I'm just going to run this through the center, just breaking things up a little bit. Here we go. And finally we have this, we had a skinny strip of bronze shimmer. And somehow I've managed to misplace my parchment board. So we're just gonna wing it and go on one of our bags here, going across our skinny strip of bronze shimmer. That way I'm not getting any on my fingers or on my table. This is going to run through the center of our other little strip. And we did have these other pieces, but I'm not going to use them today. You can easily use them to frame out one of your cards. Maybe on this one it might make a little more sense to use one of those, but I just didn't today. All right, again, using some of our stickers from our Devotion collection. They have this cake, the wedding cake, which kind of is very similar to the one in our paper. I'm going to add a couple of our large foam squares to the back. And put this kind of centered on this left side of our card. We have a wedding party sticker as well that I'm going to go ahead and put through here on the right side. So that way we're kind of, the little bronze almost kind of runs like a little ribbon through our stickers. And then a lot of times you do things in threes, but I'm not sure if we really need to this time. I thought about adding a little heart somewhere. Maybe we can put this little heart through the middle there. There we go. So another great card to give somebody at a wedding or a shower, and I hope this gives you some wonderful ideas. I did have a few more scraps than normal. I know that's a little bit unusual for me not to completely use up almost all of our scraps. I just felt like some of it was forced to try to use some of these this time. So I didn't. Feel free to put together one more card with them if you wish. However, it's okay to have just a couple of scraps, and maybe they'll fit into another page you're doing with the Devotion collection. It is easy to use rectangles and squares and things, at least, and strips, rather than having, sometimes we have those funny shapes that we've cut circles out of or things like that. So I will be doing the cards with our National Scrapbook Day 2020 here in just a moment. And now it's time to put together our cards from our National Scrapbook Day 2020 collection scraps from our Project Recipe Mashup with the Devotion collection. I've done the same thing that I did for our Devotion cards. I went ahead and used our dark sea green cardstock this time, just because I thought it was very complimentary for our colors in our scraps. And I've taken the one with the stripes on the back and cut it down to the 5.5 inch width of the card. We are going to go ahead and place 2 strips next to each other for our first card. Just running up the card width here, card front. There we go. And then I've taken our more squared piece of red shimmer that we had left. Let's see here. It's about 3.5 inches square, or 3.5 by 3.25. And I'm going to place this kind of to the left side of our card here. There we go. And I went ahead and cut a strip off of our one that had the plaid and the polka dots, and we're going to run it up this kind of the right side of the square, if you will, kind of covering up a little bit of our red. There's just a lot of red going on, which I'm okay with, but we just need to break it up just a little bit. So I went ahead and pulled our sticker that has the big white flower and the strawberries on it, because we're going to embrace some of this red a bit. Let's see, which direction do we want to put it on this thing? Probably down here. Okay, let's grab a couple of large foam squares because we want this to pop a bit. Oops, my finger got stuck on the sticker somehow. That happens. I'm going to put a small foam square up in this leaf shape so that way it doesn't droop and get stuck to our card front. Here we go. Oops. That's going to get centered on our red shimmer piece here. And then I found 3 little flowers that I thought might be nice to just accentuate our polka dots and add a little more red to our card. And there you go. Really cute, springy kind of card. Although if you're like me and you're from Florida and the strawberries come in January and February, you can send it to somebody during the strawberry festival. Wouldn't that be fun? All right, let's go ahead and get our second one here. We're still using the deep sea green cardstock. I pulled a couple more stickers for this one, and we'll see what we wind up actually using. I went ahead and let me see here. Okay, so I took one of the strips again and I cut it at the 4 1/4, which is the width of our card. These were the 1-inch strips that we had left. And I'm taking our other piece of red shimmer, the 3.5 by, where are we here? 4 1/4. So it's going to go across the middle of our card, but I'm going to, you know what, I'm going to place my plaid pieces first, just to make it easier to set my shimmer in. With these cards, it's always fun. They are definitely a creative challenge for me, but I love putting them together because, like I say, I just like having large piles of scraps around. And now here our red shimmer piece fits pretty much exactly in this center point here. I wound up with a little bit of confetti from somewhere. Sometimes it just shows up. Here we go, going right through the center of our card. And we had this little square that I didn't use on the other ones, but I'm going to use on this one to help break up our red. I didn't think we needed more plaid, so we're going to go with the polka dot side and place that kind of offset from the edge, sort of centered. And you can get out your zero centering ruler if you want to be really precise. It's a scrap card. It's okay. It doesn't have to be super precise. So I found this really cute you plus me little heart in our stickers, and I'm going to grab, of course, one of our small foam squares to give that one a little bit of height. That's going to go in the center of our polka dots here. There we go. We also have this live a little, love a lot sticker that I'm going to place going across the bottom here. We have these white flowers that I just felt like really complement our whole card and our papers here. Go ahead and put one at the top and one at the bottom. There we go. And then I went ahead and pulled this extra little red heart because I thought we almost need just a little bit more. If we have this little bit of red here, we kind of have the repeating turquoise color here. We just need another pop of red up in the top. We just need it. It's just going to complete our card. So there. And there you go. That's it. We have our cards done. This one can go either direction. This one needs to go up and down. We do have a few scraps left. I feel like we have less scraps from our National Scrapbook Day set because I think I used a couple more of the strips this time. And then we have this one that I don't know if this was on purpose or not. I know I used it in our other card, and maybe if you really want, you can run it up here, but mine looks a little bit chewed up from the something. So I'm going to go ahead and just trash that one. It's okay to trash an occasional small piece. We will save these for another page, another day. I will keep my National Scrapbook Day papers together, and as I'm working on a page later, these little squares, like I said, are very handy. You can do them as strips. You can make them actually into small squares, kind of like what we did for one. Oh, actually, that was for my quilted box scrap cards. I used just a bunch of, took some of the strips and made squares out of them and created a card there as well. But for our purposes, for this video, we're going to stick with Devotion here and our National Scrapbook Day here. Not too shabby, just with these couple little strips left. And I hope you continue to enjoy this series. Until next time.